Well, hello again. All right. So, I realized the last video was like 5 fucking minutes. So this time I'm going to try and, I don't know, I'm going to do 2 of them back to back. So, and this will be the last of the heavily written ones. And because we're getting closer and closer to whenever my memory is a little bit more, it's a little less fuzzy. So hopefully I don't have to write so much stuff down and I can just do little jotted pointers like I say, hey, remember this part. And it's like, oh, okay. And then I remember the details from it. But it's been a nice little exercise in handwriting and, memory. But I think by this point we were almost like a year, maybe year and a half in, maybe, as far as playing the campaign. We've been playing for a while now. Anyways, all right. So, with that, again, we are playing Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition, owned by Wizards of the Coast, and we are doing Explorer's Guide to Wildemount by Critical Role. It's a great campaign setting, honestly. I could play in that campaign setting forever. Just because, well, they did such a good job filling up that book with just anything you could possibly think of. Anyways, so we find ourselves now at Allfield, which is the hometown of our party favorite member of Team Ranger. Sorry, Vexen. Knox's kid. So Knox's kid, right? He is the farm guy. Just to reiterate who he is. He wears a cowboy hat, uses a bow and arrow. He's the first cowboy ever to use a bow and arrow. Anyways, he's got those bees in his hat. And let's see. So, this will be the last of these heavily written ones. So, party reaches Knox's kid's farm. No, someone's just turning around in front of me. So the party reaches Knox's kid's farm. They discover it is in neglect. And then the party learns that there have been strange occurrences on the farm by the townsfolk. So essentially they were just sort of walking around the town learning about the attack that happened by the Knolls about 2 weeks or so ago. And they learn that after the attack, there have been very strange occurrences emanating from Knox's kid's farm. So they return to the farm, and then they begin to investigate first the crops. And they discover that some of the crops are dying in a certain area, a very strange sort of disease that is consuming the crops. The ground is causing the crops to die. From there, they investigate KK's parents' graves. And what they discover is this. His mother's grave is empty. Now, his father, he's still buried, but the mother's grave is completely empty. So there, KK remembers his mother's strange past. Now, according to his father, she wandered onto the farm in druidic garb. And KK's father found her and took her in. He explained his mother's dark past as a witch of the Hag Mother. That's a lesser idol in the Explorer's Guide to Wildemount. So she's kind of like a lesser god. Then, how she was saved and set free by Melora, the Wild Mother, an actual prime deity, a real goddess. And the Hag Mother still sought her, however. So she was a witch for the Hag Mother, and then she was basically shown the error of her ways and set free by Melora, the Wild Mother. Now, the party starts to dig below the patch of dying crops, and they discover an underground cave system. There are many mutilated bodies of gnolls, and then suddenly, of course, the gnolls come to life, and combat ensues. So, the party defeats the majority of them by Vorkeef's, his Turn the Undead, which is I think it was a class feature, obviously, since he's a cleric. It's kind of a dirty move. Every cleric knows that they're gonna destroy and stomp the undead. So I just let him have it, though. And also, his healing incense from his devotee censer also hurts the undead. Healing magic hurts the undead. It's reverse of what they desire. So after the combat, the party explores and encounters KK Father's ghost. KK is Knox's kid. I'm just calling him KK now because it's easier. I can't call KK's horse that because his horse's name is Knox's kid's kid. I was like, no, can't have that. We made that joke once, and he's like, nope. I was like, all right. He explains he cannot rest until KK's mother's corpse is returned to her grave. So, KK promises he will find her remains. Now, the party travels deeper into the cave. They discover a gnoll necromancer that was left behind from the attack 2 weeks ago. It has made its lair below KK's farm and is the source of the corruption. Now, the gnoll necromancer has turned KK's mother into a flesh golem. I didn't really call it a flesh golem, but, I just gave her the stat block. Make her a little bit more robust than just a shambling zombie. So, the magic the gnoll is using reveals a dark presence within its lair. The party realizes a shadowy entity is behind this. So, that was the end of that session. But again, it's only been a couple minutes because I wrote these things so short and now I'm reading them off. All right. So, the party engages the gnoll necromancer. And they also contend with KK's mother, who is the flesh golem, so she's kind of a powerhouse. The gnoll necromancer, not so much. But the party takes down the gnoll pretty quickly, but doesn't want to damage KK's mother. So then the flesh golem grapples KK. This sends him into a trance-like state. Now, the party is then engaged with this shadowy entity that resides within the lair. Now, in this trance, I'll just call him Knox's kid. KK is crazy. Knox's kid is transported to a vision outside his farmhouse. Now, this is a very peculiar vision. The farmhouse itself is on fire, and it is at night. So it's very, very dark, and the only thing in sight is the burning farmhouse. And in the shadows of the night, outside the edge of the light of the house fire, are two eyes of red and yellow. Now, the entity reveals itself to be the Hag Mother. And from what he can tell, she's a bit of a scary sort of giantess-like hag. She's quite terrifying. Now, in this psychic encounter, Knox's kid's mother's past is revealed that she served the Hag Mother, but was saved by Melora, of course. But she still had a covenant with the Hag Mother that couldn't be broken, and Knox's kid was the price. So, meanwhile, the party in the material plane fights the shadow of the Hag Mother. So they're using spells and enchanted weapons to fight this entity, to combat her. Now, the party is also trying to rip Knox's kid free of his mother's grasp, the flesh golem's grasp. Just kind of got him in kind of a stranglehold. So, KK, or she's more like holding his head and triggering the trance for the Hag Mother. She's acting as like a vessel for this sort of psychic link. So Knox's kid is told the Hag Mother will pursue him. And that in a desperate attempt to, so this is back in the vision where Knox's kid is face to face with the hag mother, psychically. And in a desperate attempt to protect his mind, and he wills his psyche into the burning farmhouse. Now, obviously it's psychic, right? So the house doesn't actually harm Knox's kid. It actually kind of works as a barrier. I intended it to be that way. I was like, will he run into the house? Will he run out into the shadows? I was like, I don't know. But it was interesting. So he runs into the farmhouse, and she does not go in there after him. But this defiance shields him from the shadows she controls. Now, finally, the party defeats the shadow of the hag mother. This breaks the trance of Knox's kid and ceases the animation of his mother's corpse. So, once Knox's kid is free, they are met by Knox's kid's mother's spirit. Now, she thanks them and requests to be reburied in her grave. And Knox's kid asks for clarification of her past. And yes, she confirms what he has learned from the hag mother and explains how his father helped her overcome her dark past. Now, the party reburies her. They witness, like Force ghosts, they witness Knox's kid's parents reunite. It's very sappy. They all agree it's quite sappy. And they're like, all right, let's figure out what to do next. And let's see here. So from there, Knox's kid's father reveals a hidden item in the farmhouse. And it is a bowstring blessed by Melora, made by Knox's kid's mother for his father. So, with that, the party rests in the farmhouse before embarking on their next quest. And so yeah, essentially this, I think he had a +1 bow. It was one of the first things that they tried to get for him. That way he could negate magical damage. But that blessed bowstring from Melora, from his mother, that his father used, it made it so that he now had a longbow +2, which is quite powerful to have, especially nowadays on a ranger. Rangers are unbelievably powerful. So, and as we know, or as the party knows, as time goes on, Knox's kid just becomes a powerhouse with that longbow. But with that, they rest in the farmhouse, and that is officially the end of all my heavy writing. So now I'm just going to write down little bullet points. I'm going to write down little bullet points. Yeah, son of a... And I'm just going to read them off. And yeah, it should be a lot easier from now on. Well, it'll be a lot easier for me to remember it just because, it's not so far in the past. This is only maybe like 2 years ago now. So it'll be more free-form talking and just referencing bullet points. But yeah, that's pretty much it. All right, until next time.